What's this?
It's an art project.
Okay, I like it. Picasso.
I have seen so many different kinds of games on our app, so I decided that it is about time that I start rating some of the most unhinged games that I've seen on HypeHype. Starting with this one right here. Now, don't get me wrong, by unhinged, I do not mean bad. I mean, this is a masterpiece, but like honestly, when I started playing this, it felt like I entered one of my fever dreams or something. It's like I went to the zoo during the day, or maybe I watched some kind of like penguin documentary and penguins just like really stuck in my mind. But then also because you collect cakes, maybe I had like a birthday afterwards and we had a little bit of cake. Yeah, we went to the zoo and then we had a birthday. But then I also watched an episode of The Last of Us, so all these zombies are coming after me, but I'm really was not able to kill them myself. But I ended up finding out that I can just knock them off the edge by like kind of pushing them over, so that worked out really well. The thing is that I played this game like probably 5 or 10 times and I still have absolutely no idea what the goal is. You do die to the fire though, and then you die if you drop off, you die if you hit the zombies. So, you know, maybe the goal is just survival. But anyways, I rate this 8 pings out of 10. This was very entertaining.
I can't take it off. I can't take it off. Like, take it off. I can't. Take it off. I can't take it off. Like, take it off. I can't.
I mean, what if I don't want to live the way you live?
Oh, don't be ridiculous, Andrea. Everybody wants this.
I was left in charge of Ping, but he ran away. Can you help me find him? Thanks.
Today I'm going to show you how you can make your own match 3 game with HypeHype. Okay, so head on over to our discovery page and choose Looking's Fruit Match game and remix it. Okay, so as you can see here, there are pretty detailed instructions on how to remix this into your own match 3 game. It may seem a little complicated at first, but do not worry, I will take you through the basics step by step. Here we have the game board, and make sure you have logic on so you can see everything properly. You can change the size of your board by selecting a tile and painting them onto the screen. You can add or remove tiles as you wish. I decided to add 1 extra row on each side. Now let's have a look at how the fruits will spawn onto the tiles. Open up the builder panel on the top right. From here you can drag the different fruits into place to determine how the initial game board is going to look like. Once you've done this, make sure that they're all aligned with each other. Finally, since we added a column on the right, we need to add a spawner at the top, which will spawn new fruits as previous ones are cleared. Next up, this is where we can change the objects that will spawn onto the board. You can change them by selecting them in the block object section and choosing whatever assets you'd like to use instead. I wanted to use some of the assets that just came out, so I changed mine into some different symbols. It's good to playtest your game every so often to make sure that everything looks right. This is what we have so far. Next, let's set our players some goals to achieve. Drag these goals to the goal box to set them as goals for the game. I had previously changed the apple into a sun symbol, so we need to change it here too so that it will show up correctly in the game. I then set the strawberry as a second goal, which I had changed earlier into the turn symbol. To set the goal number for these objects, press on Goal and change Phase 0 Goal to the value that you'd like. Finally, you can set how many turns you let players have by changing the value in the text section. Another quick playtest to check that everything is working, and on to the final section. This is the game's front page. You can change the image and texts here. I changed the logo into something to match my symbol theme. You can change the title by editing it right here. I did a little bit more tweaking myself, as you can see here, and there's also a phase 2 and 3 that are more advanced, and you can dive into those if you'd like, but for this tutorial, we're keeping things quite simple. This is how my match 3 game turned out. You can play it on HypeHype, and it is called Symbol Mayhem. I really look forward to seeing what you guys create. Happy creating!
Check out these multiplayer games made by HypeHype divs. Smack Smack. Getting Rich. Ooh Treasure. This is adorable. Helping out the villagers. I could play this all day. Oh god, what is that? How do I make my guy run faster? Help. Did they really have to add exploding barrels? This is a really cool to play game. Each player has to press their own button at the right time. This is for people, but I like a challenge. Fire weapon op.
Sometimes I look in her eyes, and that's where I find a glimpse of us.
Guys, I came across something kinda scary on HypeHype.
Thanks for this here. Here's my gift to you.
I thought it was a normal gift. But wait.
I feel like
Here's 3 of my favorite boss fighting games that I've come across on HypeHype. Okay, so in this first one, you are basically a pirate marooned on this island, and there is a giant mega crab that you have to fight, and it sends in these little minions and like tidal waves, and it drops rocks on you and just everything you can see going on. There's a lot of phases to this, and honestly, it's really fun. This next one is near impossible, and I actually haven't even been able to finish it. There's so many things thrown at you all the time, and you have to jump across these platforms, literally like Pac-Man coming in. And at the end also, some of the platforms disappear and these levitating eyeballs are coming at you, and it's just insane. Finally, this felt a little bit Dark Souls-like, honestly. It took me probably like 20 tries to even get to like close to the end of this. There's 2 different phases, one where it is hurling rocks at you, and here it is summoning little turtles towards you. Actually, not little turtles, big turtles that are just hurtling towards you. Yeah, this is a tough game. Really recommend it. are the 5 winners of our football game jam, and also 5 games you should try out this week. Extreme penalty. In this game, you need to kick and guide the ball into the goal, but it gets harder with each level that you play, and this one took me probably 15 or 20 tries to get through. As you can see, there's also a few fun surprise levels along the way. There's 10 levels altogether, so there's a lot to play through. HypeHype World Cup. Choose your country and lead it to victory in this World Cup football game. The AI is really good at making some sneaky backwards kicks and passes, so be ready for those when you play this game. Golden Gloves. Become the best goalie with Golden Gloves, where you need to defend your goal from an onslaught of attacks by some of the best football players in town. I wasn't able to get above 10 in this game, so let me know if you can beat my score. I think the maximum was like 8. The Master of Headbutts. If you ever thought that you were good at headbutting footballs, you might have to think again after you try out this game. You need to jump just as the bar turns green, but that jump window is so tiny and it constantly gets harder. Football Versus. In this football game, you can switch between players, pass, kick, and slide the ball away from your opponent. You can play against a friend, but you can also play against AI. And a little word of warning, the AI in this game is really good, and it took me a while to figure out how to exactly beat it. A big congratulations to all of the winners, and stay tuned for more game jams and events just like this.
1, 2, 3, 4.
What's the future of gaming?
It's HypeHype. It's like TikTok of games. Always new stuff to play, made by anyone.
What do I do?
Just swipe up and tap play.
Oh my god, it's easy.
Play and chat with your friends. Or just chill out and watch clips and streams. You can make anything with your phone. Games, multiplayers, animations. No coding needed.
And all this for free?
Yes. Get the app from HypeHype.com.
How do I create a game?
Chats start from scratch. Or remix any game you like. And make your own version.
How do I publish?
With a tap of a button. Congratulations, you are a game maker. Follow top creators and learn how to make games.
Okay, enough. I'll try it.
Comment what's your first game.
Making games on an iPad outside.
Step in the kitchen. Let's go.
Cause why
Brand new
not?
Lamborghini, a cop car. With a pistol on my hip like I'm a cop. Yeah.
There we go. Sorry, wrong microphone slider there. What's up, everybody? Welcome to day 2 of the HypeHype Global Game Jam Next. It's been really fun so far. We've got still a full day of activities ahead of us today and some more stuff tomorrow. I hope you guys are having fun with the Game Jam. I hope you guys gotten started on some games. There is officially about 24 plus 5 is 29 hours left in the jam. So you have 29 hours left to finish whatever you are going to create for the jam this weekend and share it so that we can check it out and everybody can play it and enjoy it and have some fun. Just a few, before I jump into the schedule for today, just a few reminders. If you need help, we will have some sessions during the streams where we can help you online. But a great place to go if you need some help with your games with using the HypeHype app is the HypeHype community Discord. Lots of really knowledgeable and skilled creators there who are very happy to help you out with whatever problems you're having. So I definitely recommend going and checking out the Discord if you can. If you need an invite to the Discord, you can go to wiki.hypehype.com, and pretty easily you should be able to find a Discord link there. So I definitely recommend you do that. So what's going on the stream today? Right now, I'm talking to you. I'm Shogun. I'm saying hi. I'm welcoming you to the day. And in just a few minutes, we're going to have Sarah, one of our community managers, is going to join me, and she's going to present a play challenge for the weekend. So it's not all just about creating games. It's also about playing games. We're going to learn a little more about that from Sarcy in just a few minutes. After that, I am going to stick around and I'm going to do a little building for the next hour or so. At 1 o'clock our time here in Helsinki, we're going to take a little break for lunch. And then we'll be back at 2 p.m. with a session with Hypesy, one of the awesome creators from the HypeHype community, and he's going to talk about how he made, we have 65 games in a year in the title here, but I believe that when he actually finished counting it out, it was maybe 72, 73 games that Hypesy created last year. So he's going to come and talk to us about that. Going to be very cool. After that, we're going to have another little break, and we're actually going to be cutting the stream during that break. But at 4 p.m., we will be back to talk with Snyviper, who's got some excellent pro tips for you and for using HypeHype. That's going to be a really awesome session. And then finally, at 5 p.m. today, we're going to be doing an editor Q&A and playtesting session where I'm going to be here. I can help you out with your problems, and I can also check out your games. I would be really excited and humbled to be able to play your in-progress games, be able to give you some feedback. Would be really awesome if you could come to that session and share whatever you're working on, no matter what state it's in. That's what this weekend is all about. Working together, collaborating, and sharing our knowledge. So that's going to be a really fun session. And then the stream will officially end at 6 p.m. today, Helsinki time. And that is UTC +2. So I'm going to actually open up the editor here because I ran through all of that stuff pretty quickly. And until Sarcy gets here to talk about the play challenge, I'm going to open up something that I started working on last night. Excuse me. So I do have a friend of mine. We've teamed up to try and make a game this weekend, but he also kind of decided that he wanted to make a game on his own because he's really hyped about learning how to use HypeHype, which is awesome. That's what we want this weekend. Get people excited about making games. But since we are maybe not going to do a game together, I started a different game last night. One of our devs here at HypeHype published a game last night, and I played it, and it was cool. But I immediately had a bunch of ideas for it, and I was like, I'm going to remix this and try and implement some of these ideas that I have, switch it up a little bit from the game that he created. So actually, I could go back here for a second before we jump into the editor. We could go here, and I can show you the original game that he made. All right, here comes Sarah. So we're going to come back to this in just a moment. Now we have a nice special guest for you to introduce us to the play challenge. We're going to give her a moment here to sit down and get plugged in. And then I'm going to give you a little bit of mic there.
Okay.
All right, sounds good. So here is Sarah to talk to you about the play challenge for this weekend.
All right, hello everyone. So just in case you need a little bit of a break from all of the game making that you've been doing, we decided we want to host a little play challenge for everyone. So what you do is obviously open up HypeHype and go to our HypeHype account, and right there the first game called Song Road is going to be the play challenge for this weekend. So, I'll show you a little bit how to play. Last time I failed epically, so let's try to do it better this time. Alright, so the goal is to collect balls from the same color, right here. And as it says right there, more balls of a different color. However, there's a twist. The line needs to change colors. So, a lot of you kind of react to that quick reflexes. And this game gets a lot harder as time goes on. HypeHype, Song Road. Just remember that.
There you go. All right. So, awesome challenge for everybody to check out this weekend. Definitely make sure you go over to the HypeHype account and play the Song Road game. Put a score up. It's definitely worth checking out. Fun game, too.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, now for the rest of this session, I am going to jump into the editor. If anybody does have any questions, anything they would like some help with, really any talk at all about HypeHype, about creating games, I am here to help for the next about 50 minutes or so, and then I'm going to take a little break for lunch. But what I'm going to do right now is show you guys this game that I started last night. Laying in bed, I got a notification that one of my colleagues, Temo, had posted a new game. And so I played it, and it's a pretty cool game. Wait, why is that? No, we want to go to that's my remix. And yeah, okay, so here we go. So this is Temo's Nede Racing. And it's a cool little racing game. One thing that I noticed when I played it was that it's really easy to wreck. And it can make it a little frustrating because, of course, you don't finish without reaching the finish line. So it's a lot of restarting, trying again, maybe getting a little frustrated. I felt, some people might like that challenge. So my idea was to, instead of making it a race scored by time, was to make it an infinite track where the goal is to just get as far as you can, and then it would be scored by distance. So that's what I started doing here. Let's back up. Let's go to... Just going to go to mine right here. Yes, and we're going to edit that. And so what I've started here, I've already done a few things. So you can see I've removed the ground and I've removed all of the track that was already laid out here. There's still a lot of objects, which is fine. I probably will end up getting rid of all of this stuff eventually, and also kind of procedurally generating the background as well as the track. But for now, I'm just worried about the track. This is the other thing for this weekend I could talk about for a moment, is we don't want to get too, what we would call overscoped. We don't want to think too big, add too many features that make it impossible to finish a game in 2 days, right? So what I'm really looking to do with this right now is to get what we would call the MVP. And I think a lot of people that don't work in tech might not understand that, because from sports, MVP means the best, right? The most valuable player is the best player on the team, usually, or the player who's contributed the most to the team's win. But an MVP in tech means the minimal viable product, which means the bare minimum to say that you have a thing, right? So if you're making a new feature for a game, say, the MVP means that the feature works. It does what it says it's supposed to do, but it could probably be improved quite a bit, right? So there's probably a lot of usability improvements, just a lot of tweaks and stuff like that to make it better. So the minimum viable product just means you have the goal at hand, you have the first version of your software that actually can do the goal, right? And so that's what I'm looking to do with this weekend on this hype. I'm not looking to make a totally finished, polished game, especially since I might be working on another game as well. I'm, again, overextending your reach, right? I'm maybe going to try and do 2 games this weekend. But I think this one's not going to take me a ton of time to get me to the point where I want it to be, right? So what I've done here is, like I said, I deleted the ground, I deleted all the track, and I've started making these different track sections that essentially, one of them will spawn, one will spawn right away when the game loads. And then as you drive, there's some sort of trigger that will then spawn another one randomly at where that one lets off. So you can see all of these kind of start and end with a flat piece. And that's because that flat piece is kind of like the connector. And then I can just show you here how that's working. So this is the thing. We can see, and actually you can see sometimes a number comes up there in the middle. That is just that's just for my troubleshooting, so that I can see what value, which track section it should be spawning next. But I didn't set it up in every single track section, which is why it doesn't show up every time. But that's just because I was having a problem earlier that I solved. Oops. But you get the idea here. So pretty much what I'm going to be doing for the next hour is answering first any questions you guys might have about building, creating. I'm happy to take a look at any drafts that you might have, anything that you're working on. But besides that, I'm just going to make more track sections for this. And I'm kind of regretting now that I don't have music to play. Because it might get kind of quiet in here for the next, I don't know, 45 minutes or so. I'm also going to open up this hoodie. It's a little warm in here. I might take it all the way off. There we go. Okay. My phone just beeped at me that I should post a TikTok now. Should I post a TikTok now live on the stream? Let's do it. Why not? Mostly because I can just see that there's not that many people watching right now. So we're going to go to now. Let's add a now. What's up, TikTok now? I am streaming right now on the HypeHype_game app account, as well as on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. Come check it out. We're making games. There we go. Okay, so building more track sections. And so like I was saying, this is just going to, I just want to get it so that I have a good, decent number of these track sections. And then maybe I'm going to, the plan is to make it so that incrementally it's going to get more difficult. And the way I planned on doing that was just creating more difficult track sections that the longer you go, it kind of like unlocks new tiers of potential track sections that it could spawn. But we might not get to that, honestly. So right now my goal is just to create like maybe like 20 different track sections. I think would be at least a good start. So that's what I'm looking to do right now. I see a question here on the TikTok. Can you tell me some information about this game before I play it? Yeah, let's do a quick introduction to what is HypeHype. So HypeHype is a platform, really, where you can play and create games all on a mobile phone, a tablet, anything that can run iOS or Android, you can play HypeHype on. It does also work on a browser. However, I would recommend using it on a mobile device. It is developed first for mobile, which means it tends to be a little more problems on the browser version. We are in early access, so the app is still very much in development. We have a lot of plans for the future, but you can check it out right now and create your own games, play games made by other creators. So the basic idea here is if I hit the home down here on the bottom, this might look familiar to people. You can just kind of swipe through games here. You see something that looks cool. You want to check it out and play it. You just hit play, and there we go. I've joined this game. This one happens to be a multiplayer game. There's another guy in here. He's got a little spaceship. And I can just kind of run around. This, I think this one isn't, there's a button there. What happens if I press the button? I don't know what happens. Starts dropping teddy bears out of the sky or something. But anyway, this was a game made by just somebody at home, somebody who wanted to make a game. They came and they remixed somebody's multiplayer game to make this. And that's another awesome thing you can do in HypeHype. If you come across a game that you like, maybe I think this game is really cool. It's another multiplayer game. Looks like a little bit of some sort of battle action here. But if I want to remix this, I can just hit that remix at the bottom right-hand corner there, hit Remix This Hype at the bottom of that page. And now I've got this hype in the editor. I can create my own version of it. And then there's also a lot of resources in here to help you out. If I go to the Create, which is another way you can go and make games, we have in here a lot of different tutorials and templates to help get you started. So even if you've never made a game before, you have no idea about coding or anything like that, it is our goal to make game creation more accessible than it's ever been. So you don't need to know coding. You don't need to have a big fancy PC. If you have a mobile phone, you have a tablet, and you have a little bit of, what's the word I'm looking for, motivation to create, to learn how to create, then you will be able to create a game in HypeHype. It's our goal to make it as easy as possible for you to create what it is you want to create. Obviously, we're still very early in the development of the app, so it's not always going to be super easy, but it's getting easier all the time. With every update, we add new stuff to try and improve the usability and the ease of creating games for new creators. And that's basically it. So there's going to be a lot of stuff, obviously, about this over the next few hours as we're streaming here, and tomorrow we'll be streaming as well. You can also catch me most weeks on Thursdays. I stream our normal weekly stream from the HypeHype office, and that one is a great one to come to if you need help creating games. But, of course, this weekend as well, that is the idea of the weekend, is to help people learn how to create games using HypeHype. So we'll have some sessions later today with some Q&A. Right now, obviously, is a great time to ask questions. I'm just kind of playing around in the app before I go eat some lunch. So this is a pretty open session. Lots of cool stuff to do in HypeHype. So I'm going to go back to this draft that I'm working on here. I'm going to edit, open it up in the editor. I'm going to turn on my logic view. And I'm going to copy this and make a new track section. So right now I'm just, whoops, oh. Why did that turn? Is that not tight enough? Does that? Okay. Yeah, there we go. All right, and so now I'm just going to move these pieces around, reorganize them to create a new section of track. This last section I made was a big downhill. I might kind of keep with that downhill, not duplicate. I wanted to reset that. Reset, there we go. Maybe, I could do like kind of a step thing here. I like that. I haven't done something like that yet. Oh, I don't need these two. I want to keep these big ones. All right, I am going to want those two. So I'm going to do this and this and this. Okay. And then I am going to use these two to make a step back up. And now this is my trigger that spawns the next section of track. So I want to make sure that's in a place where the car is going to be able to hit it. These are not quite centered there, which isn't a huge deal, but I do have to be careful that at least my starting and finishing pieces are on the 0 on the x-axis, because if they are not, my track could slowly start to drift and then my car doesn't stay correctly on the track anymore, which we do not want. Okay, what's going on with this one? Now this one's a little bit of an uphill, and I'm realizing now I should probably have like done downhills and uphills together to avoid getting them to overlap in my just in my building area here. But what are you going to do? What's done is done. I've built an uphill section, and now I got to set up this uphill section so it can spawn, and I'm going to do that by changing the channel in the broadcast listener. And down here, I'm going to change the maximum amount of indexes to 3. What's going on? Hold on a second, folks. Aha. There we go. Thanks, dude. Okay, so anywho, back to what I was discussing here. So I just made a new thing. I just set it up so that it should be able to spawn. Now I can play test and see if I get that new track section. And it said that I should get it right away. There's my steps and my little bump uphill there. And it's working perfectly. Excellent. So now I'll move on to the next track section. And what I'm going to do for now, like you can kind of tell, there's some stuff in the background that was already there from the original hype that I remixed. But I am planning on probably getting rid of that and adding some more decorations to the actual track sections that spawn, so that we're not just playing like a floating track in the air. Oh. But you get the idea. And you can kind of see here, even with just 4 sections, they start to repeat pretty quickly, obviously. But it still kind of keeps it interesting that they're a little bit random, which order they come in, when they come, that kind of stuff. So let's do another one. Just going to grab my reusable container there. I'm going to grab my spawning logic, and I'm just going to copy it here. And then again, I'm going to change my broadcast listener channel. I'm going to change my maximum indexes that it can pull from. And I'm going to, whoops, not like that. Oh, now it didn't undo correctly. So now I need to go back here and put this back to 4. All right. This one here is still 4. Yes, it is. Okay, superb. do a little bit of a curve here. Hey, Hypesy's in the house. Yeah, there was a little bit of a mix-up with the YouTube event. It is there now. It was hidden for a moment. That was Shogun did it bad. That was my fault. But up and running now. If you would prefer to watch on YouTube, it is available. And what is happening right now is I'm just working on a game. Hey, PT in the house. What's going on, my friend? I really wish I had some music, so I'll just sing some songs while we're building stuff in HypeHype. We're singing along. Okay. Here's gonna be another track section. Finito. This one might be kind of hard. Let's see. Okay, so it should be ready to spawn already. We got a 1 there. Oh, boo. Oof, oof. Oh, go, 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 go. There it goes. Eee. Oh, did I even? I totally wasn't paying attention. I don't know if I got that track section that I just made that I'm trying to test here. I was just so focused on, it's this one. Okay. Yeah, that's a little difficult. Let's see. I want to get it again. Flip. No. That's about where I'm at, PT, as well. I actually had, yesterday, a friend of mine came to the live event that we're having here, and we were going to team up and make a game together. And we had kind of talked about some ideas, and I might still try and make that game. But then he decided that he was like all super interested in learning how to build something in HypeHype, and he wants to build his own thing. So I might still do this game that I'm working on here as well as the game that he was talking about. But this one that I'm working on here, I'm not trying to get like a super polished version of this game this weekend. I just want to get a kind of like you said, a playable build. Woohoo! Oh! I think I might need to change the controls of this too. What I'm kind of thinking is that when you're in the air, you should have on either side be able to tap to rotate. So that sometimes you can save those where you're going off a ramp and it starts to over rotate one direction. You would have the possibility to save that from happening. Oh, that's not good. Let's see. I'm gonna play around with with the logic of this car a little bit. So I think what we're going to do here, first of all, I'm going to, instead of, the way this is working right now is that a section of track spawns right away. But I think I want to have a pre-built section of track before the first track section spawns, because I want to make sure you get a little bit of speed. You know, like you can see here right now, it's first spawning this one that goes uphill right away, and it makes it like kind of a sluggish start. I would like you to get a little more speed right off of the start. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to mess around with this car a little bit to see if I can change how it works. But first thing I'm going to do is actually we're going to remove that from the container, and we're just going to build a little section here. It'll be a little flat section, and then a little bit of a downhill section here. Let's move this game end system out of the way. I don't need to be looking at that. So now we have a little bit of a downhill here to start on. Whoops. Duplicate. Let's reset the rotation. And now that is where our first track section will spawn. And it's the spawn at location will be there. And also, before that spawns, I don't want that to spawn right away anymore. We're going to want to do a boop-a-doop-a-doo. We want a random. Why am I? There we go. I'm just blind for a second. We want a random, and then we want a broadcaster. The random top value is going to be our track channels, and it's going to on start output to the broadcaster channel. This broadcaster is going to be fetch track. And then we're going to have on the listener there, we're going to add, or we're on a spawner, we're going to add a listener that is send track, and it's going to send the object to spawn. It will also execute it, and then it will also disable itself so that it only executes once. Because this send track happens often. Okay, so now we get our nice little... Uh-oh. Why did it offset like that? Because this has some Y offset to it. That's why. 0 there. Now, because it was using this object and it needed to spawn above it. But now it needs to spawn right on it. So... there we go. Oh, that's rough. Okay, so I need to fix that ramp. Was that this ramp? No, it's the big downhill ramp is rough. Rough. This one. Got a little stuck on there. We'll just move it down a little bit. And I'm actually going to move this whole section down a little bit. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, Ryan, what's going on, man? Good to see you. This also needs some engine sounds on this car, because the original version of this hype was done. Yeah, PT, that's what I'm doing. It's going to be an infinite track where the goal is just to get as far as you can. Randomly spawn track sections is the name of this game. It's not the name of the game, but that's what I'm doing. But yeah, I was going to take a break here from making new sections and mess with the actual gameplay of this car a little bit. So what I'm thinking is, when you're on the ground, pushing the right side is acceleration, pushing the left side is brake. When you're in the air, pushing the right side is spin forward, pushing the left side is spin backward. And I guess I will do that with a raycast. So first of all, what is this button doing? It's just enabling a motor. On all of the wheel joints, enabling and disabling the motor. I'm wondering if there's a way I can simplify that. I do kind of like the straight lines a little bit more than the curved ones, because I do, with my logic nodes, I do really try and keep them on the grid. So when everything is like gridded out perfectly on the grid, it's nice, I think, to have straight lines versus the curved lines. But I have, in a few cases, found situations where the curve still comes in handy. So I probably will be like switching back and forth between the two from time to time. Okay, so this car logic. And what is this? I need to move this out of the way. What is this even doing? What's this value inspector looking at? It has no source, so it's not doing anything. Fetch from text. Whoops. There's an executor in here too that's just executing this. So this is some old logic, because you wouldn't need to even use that anymore. But yeah, I think these two things aren't doing anything. What's this math? This math isn't sending its math anywhere. So yeah, we're deleting those. They're not doing anything, guys. Okay, so what I want here is, we're going to need a transform, or should I use a force, maybe? Do we have, I guess, can't you do rotational force in my reset speed, local force, turning? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, there we go. And we want this to be, I think, on 8. No, that's rotation. We want boom. We want this to be on 8. Yes, 8 is my working plane. So the target for this is going to be the car. Whoops. Oh no, what's okay, we're going to add Nice. Bacon in the house did a blow the screen video. That was a fun one. I did one of those as well. I'm just gonna move these two out of the way a little bit. And then we're gonna need, I think I'll use a ray cast. So we'll have a ray cast here that is pointing down. It's going to be attached to the car here. And the length, the max range is not going to be 1.5, 1.25. Oh, I really like this new visualization. That is super handy. Okay, so 1.2, it says that it's above the ground, but because there's shocks on those wheels, when the car settles in, it should be, I'll make it a little bit bigger just to be safe, just to make sure it stays there. We do want the local offset. Well, local direction is the same, but we want that. No, not local offset. Local direction is what we want. Yes, because we're not using any offset. So now this is going to go to a I guess I'm just going to send this to a value. I like to use the values because it makes it a little bit easier to visualize what's going on, especially when you start running into problems. Yeah, thanks, dude. I'm glad you like that one. We've really been trying to improve the usability for phones because it's definitely can be a little difficult when there's so much on the screen and you're using a small screen, which of course is why I always work on tablet here. But yeah, we're definitely trying to make it easier for people with smaller screens. Okay, so we're going to say if it did hit, our output value is 0. If it didn't hit, our output value is 1. So now in this is our, we'll call it the cart air state. Just need to name this stuff so that you can find it in other nodes and places. So now we're going to add another button. Boom. This button is not going to affect all of these wheel joints. In fact, it's not going to do any of the things that the button was previously doing. The reverse button is going to... well, the idea was that it would be brakes. But I know that just trying to do brakes with, like, what kind of physics do these have? Physics, tire slip. And then let's go in here. Physics, tire slip. It's got pretty high friction there. But I still think if we just try and apply some sort of maybe dampening to the rotation of the tires. Let's see how it works. So we would say on start, we're going to make a new physical property, which is going to be a copy of tire slip. And the only difference is going to be we're going to almost max out our turning slowing. Maybe we'll try the 95 at first. And so I'm not sure how well this is going to work. So we say on start, we switch our physical material to the tire slip copy. And I'm just going to do it for now with the back wheels just to try it out. Physical material, tire slip copy. And then on end, we put it just back to the tire slip. So that's physical property, tire slip, physical or material, tire slip. And then this is going to be left bottom. And we'll change this one to right bottom. And these will be quarter screen, both of them. So now we should have some break. It's trying, but I don't know if that's really actually doing anything. All right, let's see if we make that, if we turn up that dampening on that physical material. What time is it, by the way? Okay, about 10 more minutes, and then I am going to take a lunch break. Olka in the house. What's going on, my friend? So this is a remix of a game by one of the other devs here at the studio, and I'm turning it into an infinite racetrack where the goal is just to get as far as you can, whereas previously it was just a racetrack with a finish line. Whoops. So where were we? Physical material. Physics, tire slip. Let's just crank that all the way up. And maybe we do the movement slowing as well. We can turn that up. Maybe not all the way. But we really want it to try and slow us down when we hit that button. So we're going here. Aha, that's better. I think it needed the movement slowing on top of the spin slowing. Ooh, it's not strong enough to go up this hill. There we go. Oh, and I feel like my track is drifting again. How does this keep happening? It just... Oh no, he's gonna fall, Oh, I was trying to get a look at that. Oh, I could have slowed the speed. Anyway. Okay, so that's kind of working. I like it. I like it enough for now. And so now we need the air state. So actually what I need to do, whoops, is both of these need to go to a compare. And now the compare is going to say it's looking at is the cart air state equal to 1. If the cart air state is equal to 1, that means that the cart is in the air. And so, oh, I'm gonna have to do a couple of checks here, I think. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, so button 1 here is only going to go, whoops. I think what I'm going to actually do here is we're going to get rid of this one and this one. On start is going to execute the compare. But on end is going to turn off both of the possible things that get turned on. Because otherwise, if you're in the air and you start pressing the button and then you land and you release the button, the wrong thing could happen. But in both cases, when you release the button, you're just turning something off. One-time boost power-up. All right. I can add that to the list. Okay, so that means also that we're going to say on end activation. No, we're going to say on end execute. No, we need to turn off. So on end activation enabled off. And what this is going to do on true is going to say activation enabled on. And it's also going to say amount. Let's try -5. And then we also need to go here. Output if false needs to change our tire material. So that was physical material, tire slip copy. Should probably change the name of that one too, but I know what it is for now. Tire slip copy. And then this, yes. So now when I get a nice jump, yeah, the 5 was maybe a little too strong. Why it didn't do it on the first time I hit it? Why didn't it do it? I had to hit it twice. Okay, what's that about? What am I looking at time-wise here? All right, I don't have a whole lot of time to figure this out. Whoops. Nope, undo that. Oh, it didn't undo. So I want to see what this value is while we're playing here. Oh, it doesn't show me. I need to look at it from here. Yeah. So we're 0, 1, 1. So yeah, that's working. When we're in the air, we're 1. On the ground, we're 0, 1, 0. It could maybe be a little less sensitive. But again, also, it's looking like my track is drifting. Whoops. Restart. Maybe it's not. Did I just... Is this not sent? That's why it looks like that. Okay, so this is at 7.5, and I had these at 8. That's the problem. These should be at... Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4. These should all be at 7.5. I don't know what why that double tap is needed. I'm gonna have to look into that further. I'm gonna save this for now though, because it is time for me to go and get some lunch. So I am going to be back in about an hour with Hypesy. Hypesy's going to be here. Hypesy in the chat is now going to be on the stream in about an hour. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to go to this screen for a second. We can look at that schedule there while I set up the break, which is going to be bloop, bloop. All right, we're going to set this up. Okay, that part is working. And that is going to be it for this segment of the stream. Thanks a lot for hanging out. You can come back, like I said, in just about an hour to check out Hypesy talking about creating a bunch of games in 1 year. Until then, we will have some videos and stuff playing on the stream here, so you do not need to shut down the stream if you want to keep it on in the background and maybe get some tips and tricks from the tutorials and other videos that are going to play while I am away. I look forward to seeing you again in just about an hour. Peace out, Hypesters.
What's up? I'm Hypesy. I play games, make games everywhere, and today we're going to be going through tutorials in HypeHype, checking out Make a Mini Hype Easy Editor tutorial. Welcome to the Hype Editor. When I'm making a game, I like to use these three fingers, zoom in, zoom out, and move around the world. In this tutorial, you'll learn about pre-mades. Pre-mades have built-in functionalities and they speed up making games. Start by adding a player from assets. Tap to open assets. On the bottom we have our hamburger menu, assets, logic, and hierarchy. Let's go to assets. These are examples of pre-made players. All of these characters have the ability to move around the world, either stomp, fire, fight, or bash, all built into them, along with the ability to move the camera by scrolling above. I'm a fan of jump and stomp, so let's go with that. Do a search when you need something from the asset library. There's thousands of assets in HypeHype. Be sure to check them out. All different things from trees, animals, airplanes, sci-fi planes, you name it, it's in the asset library. If you search for a player, you'll find main character for your games. Let's give the player a nicer look. Tap here to choose a new look. I'm gonna go with the Dino Dude. Looking good, it's time to test the gameplay. Tip, return by tapping the back button. Now the back button is this button up here at the top left, over here, and that'll take you back to your editor, or in this case, our tutorial. We have the ability to move around so you can look at different angles, and we can take the little Dino Dude and jump around and look around this cool little desert. I'm gonna go ahead and jump on this tree. All objects have a collision shape around them. The collision shape defines the shape of the object. Here we can see it looks like the Dino Dude's standing in the air. That is just because the collision shape of this object extends into this air. It's always good to pay attention to the shapes of your objects. Alright, let's go back. The player you choose is a pre-made. It has built-in features. It can run when you drag while playing, moving the camera angle while moving the character as well. The ability to do two things at the same time is pretty cool. It can also jump, fight, depending on which player you chose. This character only jumps, but there are some that punch or shoot fireballs. You can play with these just by testing them in your tutorial or example hype. select the player. I'm going to zoom in by pinching. You can change things like the player's speed and health points in the basic menu. Select the character on the tab on the top right. You'll be able to see player stomp, player health, drag and turn. Hit the down arrow to customize these settings, whether the player's speed, health, all these can be factored in and adjusted depending on the game that you are creating. Next, let's add some decoration to the scene. Let's go to assets. Here we can see a bunch of different little plants. Let's go ahead and add this one. I'm a fan of blue. This plant is an example of a model. It doesn't do anything but look nice. Press this drag icon to move the plant. The 2 fingers and thumb are what I use the most when editing on my phone. This is great because you can change your perspective, zoom in, zoom out, and let's go ahead and move this plant all the way over here. You can use the colored handles to move an object on one axis. You will need these moves: drag to move, pinch to zoom, and drag with 2 fingers to rotate. First, move, rotate, and zoom the view to see the plant better. Okay, so let's go like this and we can move it. If you want to see where on the XYZ axis is, you can just hit this icon below. The tutorial is kind of blocking the view, but it shows the position of the X, Y, and Z. Let's go ahead and put this over here. And I'm going to scale it down a little bit by hitting the scale down and maybe rotate it a little bit like that. And remember, you can move it on one axis at a time. I think that looks good. Let's continue. Make sure the plant is selected. Move the plant to a good spot. Turn the view to see it better. Okay, so this is just playing with the movement using your 2 fingers and thumb. And yeah, maybe let's just move it a little bit like this. Down so that it's coming out from the wall at an angle like so. Looking good. How about some things for the players to collect? Find a collectible gem in assets. Notice how collectible gem is highlighted green. If you go to assets and you type in collectible gem, this item will come up. Create a copy of the gem, duplicate, and move the copy a bit. Zoom out. Let's go ahead and move this guy down here. Copy the gem once more. Move the gem to a good spot. Turn the view to see better. Always good to use 2 fingers when rotating and moving around. Make sure it's not floating in the air too much. This gem, let's move it over here. You can see the blue axis line, the green axis line, and the red axis line. Playtest time. Try to collect all the gems. Tap here to start. Tip, return by tapping back. Again, the back is on the top left. Alright, let's go collect some gems. Where's that other gem? It's over here. There we go. Looking good. Collectible gems are also pre-made. They have built-in properties. Just like the pre-made character has properties such as health, the gem has properties such as collectible score. Collectibles disappear and make a sound on contact. They may increase score or player health. These pre-mades have a sound effect and they can increase your score depending on if you have a game where you need to collect gems, or they can also increase the player's health if we want to change the gem into like a heart or something. Next, you'll add a finish line to the game. Let's go to the assets. So we got a finish flag where if the player gets to the finish flag, the game finishes, and a racing goal, which is just go for the flag. This pre-made ends the game when the player reaches the flag. Move also the flag to a good spot. Make sure it doesn't float in the air. Let's add it to the top of this tree. 2 fingers to move around, rotate, and these 2 to pinch in and zoom. Always good to move the camera around since we are in a 3D world. Good, and we can even move that flag like there. This is a good tip to rotate an object. You can hit these discs and it will rotate the object 45 degrees. And I think that's good for us. Let's play test, run to the flag and see what happens. Tap here to play, and let's get up there and finished. And if we were in the actual game, a game menu would come up and say game complete, but we're in a tutorial, so let's hit back. Great job, you've completed a small working hype. Now you can save the hype and make it better. Try adding an enemy from the asset library or test new pre-mades. If you want to save your work, tap here and select Save Draft. Continue editing or leave the editor to explore HypeHype. You just notice that this tree is kind of floating in the air. Let's go ahead, select the tree, make it a little bigger, and then move this flag up. And let's take a look at the gem and the pre-made collectible score. So here we have the score amount. There's an animation delay. This is a great introduction to this tutorial. If you wanted to save it, we hit save. It takes a screenshot. From here, you just select Save Draft. And that's it for this tutorial. If you like this kind of content, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more notifications. Until next time, stay safe out there. I'm Hypesy, and peace. What's up? I'm Hypesy. I play games, make games everywhere, and today we're going to be going through some of the tutorials in HypeHype. Go to the Create tab, and you can see those menus. We got easy tutorials. Let's start from the beginning with Welcome Creator. Welcome to the Hype Editor. In this tutorial, you'll learn to move around in the editor and change how things look. Now I need your help. Can you find my friend Bunny? Swipe to move right. All right, so let's take the finger and you can move all around, but we need to go to the right. And here we got Mr. Bunny. Let's tap the bunny. Hey there, say hello to my friend Mouse. You need to zoom because he's so small. Pinch with 2 fingers to zoom in and out. Zoom in and tap the mouse. We can see the mouse all the way in the back, and I like to use my pinchy fingers, and we're gonna zoom in, so we go like this. Let's just slowly zoom in, and there we go. Zoom in and tap mouse. Hi, can you help me find cat? Here we're just trying to get accustomed to using your fingers and moving around the world. It should be hiding behind the wall. Rotate by swiping with 2 fingers. Rotate with 2 fingers and tap the cat. When rotating, I'll either use the pointy finger and the thumb or these 2 fingers. Usually depends on how I want to move around the world. Overall, I use these 3 fingers to just like rotate, navigate, and you can see I'm pretty good when it comes to moving around. Rotate with 2 fingers and tap the cat. There we go. Nice to meet you. Remember these moves. Swipe to move, pinch to zoom, swipe with 2 fingers to rotate. If you get lost, you can always reset the view. Resetting the view is one of my favorite things to do because you will find yourself getting lost when you're moving around quickly. So you go to the left and you can see reset view. What that will do is take you to your camera view where your main character is. Awesome. Now you know how to move around. I'm a bit bored with my looks. Let's see how you can change it. Select by tapping Fox. Tap the white fur color. Up here we have visual material A, B, C, and D. You can look at the character and see visual material B goes with the belly, the ears, and the chin area of Mr. Fox. And select a new tone. Let's select green. Can you do a full makeover? Select Mr. Fox again. Tap here, select a style from the list by tapping a plus icon. Here we're going to be changing the character, and there's lots of characters in the asset library. You can switch and play around with all these characters, and they have the movement joints already associated in them. All you need to do is select one. Let's go with Sprinkles. Great choice. I want to show you how to move, turn, and scale objects. Press the icon and drag to move. We can press the icon that has arrows going all different ways, and this straight up moves the character like so. Again, I use these 3 fingers when messing around and creating in HypeHype. Press the icon and drag to rotate. We can see it's rotating and there's a cool green arrow. Press the icon and drag to scale. This is a great way to just drag to make items bigger or smaller quickly and keep the same dimensional proportions, and you can just move it left or right. Let's make him a little bit smaller. Whoa, that's a bit too much. Scroll the menu to find the undo button. Here we go. We're going to select the undo button. This button is one of the most used buttons I use in the game because mistakes happen and you need to go back. So let's press it. Try making changes only on one axis and use the colored controls. Here, we just want to make him a super for skinny and tall donut, we can hit the y-axis and move up. Notice the green line down the center of Mr. Sprinkles, and if we want to make him a little wider, notice the red line going on the x-axis, and then the blue is for the z-axis. Congratulations, you've learned to move and turn the objects. Do another tutorial to learn more tricks. Continue editing or leave the editor to explore HypeHype. Let's do a quick review. When moving around on your phone, I like to use 3 fingers, and you can pinch, zoom, do all kinds of cool stuff. The more you do this, the better you'll get at it. You'll be able to select items, move them, rotate them around quicker. Everything comes with practice. Another quick tip is if you want to select multiple items, you can tap the item, tap and hold on the screen somewhere. This is where I use my left thumb. Then I tap the items I'm looking for, and we can like make these bigger and move them accordingly. This is the move tool. You can see I'm using the x-axis, this is the z-axis, and this is the y-axis. Let's take a plant and let's look at the rotation, and let's go over the rotation. The blue will move it on the z-axis, and if you're not sure, you can bring up a small menu down here and it'll show you the degree at which they're at. The blue is the z, the red is the x, and the green is the y. Cool little trick is if you touch the middle in between, you can move it in all x, y, z axis. This is a little bit more advanced, but if you just need to make a little tweak, you can do this. And if again you make a mistake, just hit that undo button. You can scale it big or small, zoom in, and then just move around. Everything is in a 3D space. Be sure to look at things from multiple different perspectives so that you don't accidentally have objects that are floating or look kind of weird. And remember, it's easy to change colors just by selecting the object and hitting one of the spheres at the top right. Again, zoom in. These 3 fingers will be super helpful. And yeah, something like that. That is a good start with the Welcome Creator tutorial.
Welcome to the party, pal!
And if you like this kind of content, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more notifications. I also have other videos going through the HypeHype editor, so be sure to check those out. Until next time, I'm Hypesy. Stay safe out there, and peace. What's up? I'm Hypesy. I play games, make games everywhere, and today we're going to be doing some tutorials in HypeHype. Making games on your phone has never been so easy. Doing these tutorials is a great way to build a strong foundation when making games. Let's open up the app, hit the Create tab. Before we jump in, these 2 fingers and thumb are what I like to use when navigating around the world. Physics and objects. Welcome to the Hype editor. In this tutorial, you'll learn about changing the physics of items. Ping is starving. I'm Ping. Help Ping reach the hot dog and soda. Tap the hot dog to continue. Why can't Ping just run up the beams? Let's play in test mode. When it comes to objects, you have unmovable objects, dynamic objects, and objects with no physics. All these have an effect of how they interact with the world that they're in. Playtesting your game is something you're going to be wanting to do over and over again. I playtest non-stop to find little mistakes that I've made to make sure everything works smoothly, and it's a great way to find out if the game that you're making is fun. If you find yourself playtesting a lot and you're not enjoying your game, then that's a good hint to try to make adjustments so that when you playtest, you're also enjoying the development process. Tap here to start, run into different objects in this scene. Tip, return by tapping back. And the back button is up here on the left. That'll take you back. Okay, so we got the D-pad that controls the player around. Looks like the camera stays still, and our Ping dude can jump. These wooden crates, these are dynamic objects as they move around in the world when they come into contact with Ping. And we got some cones. These are also dynamic objects. We got the wheelbarrow. Move that over here. Okay, this beam over here looks to be an unmovable kinematic object. Oh, what's this over here? We got a forklift. That's cool. And if we wanted to, we could run away. Now let's bring him back. You got your jump. Okay, so let's go get that hot dog. I am kind of hungry. Whoa, I can't. Looks like this is an object that has no physics. We can see the object. The object has shadow, but because it has no physics, our character can run straight through it. And it looks like here the character can also run through this object. And I'm not sure about the metal beam because we're not tall enough, but we can grab this box, move it over here, as this is a dynamic object that has physics. Let's see if we can jump on top of this box. And we can see that that metal beam also has no physics. So let's hit the back button and do some editing. You can run through some items and push others around. Some items are unmovable. You need to make beams solid so ping can run on them. Tap on the beam. The physics setting of the beam is no physics. And to change that, all we need to do is tap where it says no physics and select unmovable object. We can also select dynamic object, but for this example, we want unmovable object. Make the second beam a bit more shaky. Okay, so let's select this beam, tap the open physics option. This will be dynamic. Tap on the things on the beam to give them physical properties too. This we want to be dynamic, and this object we want to be dynamic. Dynamic means that it can move and interact with the world that it's in, opposed to an unmovable object that exists in the world, like a wall, will stay put. Did it work? Playtest to find out. Looks like those dynamic objects move, but the entire beam fell down. So this object is dynamic, but we want it to stay still. So we need to make this object here an unmovable object. I am curious to see if I can get the hot dog there. Nope. Okay, let's hit that. That second beam turned out to be too shaky. You must make the beam below unmovable. Tap the beam to continue. Okay, so here, those definitions here, we can see no physics, decoration, which doesn't collide or move. Unmovable object collides with other objects but doesn't move. That's what we want. Why didn't this beam fall? Tap to find out. The setting of the slope is set to unmovable. Unmovable objects can't be moved by anything, not gravity, not the player, not another object running into it. All right, let's test it again. We got those pipes moving down, and here we can see, whoa, got it. Very cool. Gotta be quick. Unmovable objects stay in place no matter what. This is a nice little example showing you some objects that look to be floating in the air, and that's because they're unmovable objects. If you want objects to move, make them dynamic with unmovable objects. This is a great game somebody made that has multiple dynamic objects, and you can see how they move when colliding with each other. No physics setting is useful for objects that can be passed through. And this is an example of a bird flying through a cloud, or if you have a building going through a cloud, you want those cloud-like objects to be set to no physics. Good job, you're finished with this tutorial. You'll learn about material and physics nodes in the upcoming tutorial. That was a good run through of basic objects, objects with no physics, unmovable objects with physics, and dynamic objects which have physics but can move and interact within the world. If you like this kind of walkthrough, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more notifications as I make and play games in HypeHype. Until next time, I'm Hypesy. Stay safe out there, and peace. What's up? I'm Hypesy. I play games, make games everywhere, and we're back doing more tutorials to get better at making games on our phone. Let's open up HypeHype. Go to Create, Cross Gaps. Here we go. Let's cross some gaps using pre-mades. The builder panel has some items already. So let's select it, and you'll find more in assets. Here we got a bunch of pre-made objects, finish flag, super fragile, teleport end, teleport start. Ooh, that's cool. Health pickup, spinning platform, and you'll find more assets here. Add a fragile block to the scene from assets. Move the block to gap 1. Turn the view to see better. Okay, let's do this. I like to use 2 fingers when moving around and rotating, and then these 2 to zoom in and zoom out. Moving around a 3D world is a lot of fun. So we're gonna move on the Z-axis. You can see the blue line. The X-axis has a red line, and then the Y-axis has a green line. So let's move this right about here. You can move by pressing on the little arrows or on the move icon like so. I tend to do all of the above. It just depends on my angle and where I'm looking at the object. Move the block to gap 1, turn the view to see better. Let's play test right away. Try to cross gap 1. Okay, looks like there's a fire. And we have fallen to the fire. Let's hit back. Tap the block, open the properties of the block, delay 1 second. Delay defines how fast the block is destroyed in seconds. Shorten the delay, set it to 0.2 for example. Once you've changed the delay of one instance of the fragile block, you'll learn more about editing pre-mades and their instances in the next tutorial. Okay, add a ladder to the gap so the player can get out if it falls. Add a ladder to the scene from the assets. Look at the properties of the ladder. Climb speed 7. You can change the climb speed of the ladder later. Move the ladder to the side of the platform. Turn the view to see better. Okay, let's take out 2 fingers and thumb. Zoom in, move it around a little bit. Sometimes I just rotate all over just to be sure everything looks proper. Okay, cool. I think that looks good. Let's go. Move the fragile block 2 if needed. The ladder and the fragile block were added to the builder panel. You can add more of them by dragging from the panel. Play test and try to get over to gap 2. Okay, let's go here. Oh, and that falls, so let's go. And here we go. We made it gap 2 this way. And I'm gonna get some speed and let's go. Oh, ooh. Wait, no, this way and there we go. Made it. Looks like that thing is still moving. Maybe gap 3. Oh, no, I think we need to add a ladder there. Before we continue, reset the view. Resetting the view, always clutch when you're lost somewhere in your game. Select the seesaw now. Let's look at the properties of the seesaw. Stiffness controls how stable the seesaw is. Try a different stiffness value. Let's divide it by 2 and then divide it by 2 again, so 25. Select moving platform, which move in the bottom of gap 3. Select moving platform. Let's zoom in. Again, 2 fingers up, down. Sometimes I'll move up and down by going like this or like this to move. The more you move around in HypeHype, the easier it becomes over time. Right, look at the properties. Change up, down movement to 3. Okie dokie. So +1, 1, 1, and 3. Stop the sideways movement, set it to 0. So the sideways movement, I think, is the back and forward. You know the drill. Time to play test. Let's go. Try to cross gaps 1, 2, and 3. We're gonna have to be quick on this one. Oh, made it. Made it. And let's wait for it. Wait, and there we go. Looking good. Didn't fall this time. Oh, there's a gap 4. Let's take a peek over there. Nope. Let's try something completely different. With gap 4, teleports. Teleportation. Cool, let's go. Before we continue, reset the view. Sounds good. Here's a teleporter start pad. Okay. Drag a teleporter start pad to the scene from the builder panel. Okay, let's just go ahead and do something like that. Move the teleporter to a good spot. Okay, let's go ahead and move this over here. Again, 2 fingers, move it around, rotate up and down, and then pinching if needed. Okay. The end pad is already somewhere in this scene. Okay, so there's already an end pad. Let's play test. Very cool. We got a skull and we got some of these. Okay, did the player just teleport to a platform they can't get away from? Now it's up to you to fix this level if you want. Add pre-mades from the builder panel or the asset library. Change the properties of the pre-mades and move things around for a better game feel. Have fun, do another tutorial to learn more about easy game logic. If you want to save your work, tap here and select Save Draft. Continue editing or leave the editor to explore HypeHype. Alright, let's go ahead and just make it so this dude can get to the last final cake with the flag. We can add some of these. It looks like snap movement is off. Let's go ahead and turn snap move to grid. Yeah, and let's make sure it's on the same y-axis. Okay, there we go. That looks a lot better. And let's add, oh, this is a spinning. This one's really big, so let's make it a little bit smaller. Make sure it's on the right y-axis. Looks good. 2 fingers and the thumb get you a lot of places. Let's add some healthy points up on here. Ooh, love watermelon. Then let's add some jumpy springs. And if you want to select multiple items at once, select one item, tap and hold somewhere on the screen, and then use your other finger to tap the objects you want. And then you can rotate the screen, and I'm gonna hit duplicate, and it will duplicate the objects to the left because that's where there's a lot of space on the screen. Okay, let's test this out. That watermelon and finished. That was great for crossing the gaps. If you like these walkthroughs, be sure to hit that like, subscribe, and bell icon for more notifications as I make and play games with HypeHype. Until next time, I'm Hypesy. Stay safe out there, and peace. What's up? I'm Hypesy. I play games, make games everywhere. Today we're going to be checking out the tutorial Jump Up. There's a bunch of different tutorials. The more you know, the better you can build cool things. We're working on a 2D side scroller game. Here are some examples of some cool 2D games. In HypeHype, you can make games in 2D or 3D. 2Ds are a great way to start out making games as the character just moves along in the X coordinates, left, right, up, down. And here are some games that you can even play in HypeHype that are a lot of fun. The goal of the game is to reach the finish flag. Swipe to move right. When I move around in HypeHype, I like to use 2 fingers and my thumb. For this, let's just swipe right. Here we can see the finish flag is right here. Tap the flag to continue. Let's zoom in. Reset the view. Reset the view is a great way to jump back to the initial view you have when starting the game. Sometimes I find I'll be in a game making a bunch of adjustments and I want to get back to the starting point. Reset view will do that for you. Here we go. Let's test some pre-mades that are great for going up. Remember, pre-mades, they are assets with built-in logic. Pre-mades are great assets to use when you're starting out making games because you don't need to learn how all the logic is done right away. You just need to know how to drag and drop them into your game. Eventually, you want to learn how the mechanics works, and then you can take these mechanics from any game and put them into your game. But for starting out, pre-made mechanics are a great way to go. Let's open up the builder panel, which is at the top right. Jump springs are perfect for boost jumps. Drag a jump spring to the scene, place it close to the player. All you need to do is drag and drop. Just drag the spring down, drag and jump spring to the scene, place it close to the player. Did you notice the spring moved in little steps? It moves in blocky steps as opposed to being very smooth. That's because snapping is on. It will help with aligning stuff. Snapping is a great tool when aligning objects, and if you don't want it on, you can always just turn it off. When you need new pre-mades, go to Asset Library. Add a semi-solid cloud block. Okay, let's go add this one. Move the cloud block above the jumping spring. Okie dokie. Here it's like a little bit to the right. Let's do that. We can see it's a little blocky when it moves, and we can turn on free movement, and this is free movement. But because we're doing a tutorial, let's keep snap to grid. The cloud block was also added to the builder panel on the top right. Very cool. Drag a new cloud block next to the first one. Okie dokie. Hit this right there. Let's play test. Try to jump on the cloud block, of course. Cool. Now we just need to get all the way over there. Semi-solid blocks are useful inside scroller games. The clouds are semi-solid as opposed to a solid block which you cannot jump through, shown in the picture below. Let's test the jump pad. Okay. Drag a jump pad to a good spot. Maybe here, I guess? And I kind of want to duplicate this just to see if we can jump through these clouds. Spike hazards add challenge to gameplay. Add some spike hazard blocks. Move the view to see better. Looks like they're putting the blocks around there. So we can do something similar here, 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 and what was it? Like also over here. Please double check that there's at least one spike hazard in the scene. Yep, we got 6. Let's play test. Test the jump pad. Oh, snap. Took a little bit of damage, but we made it. Very cool. Select a hazard. You can change the properties of the pre-made. Okay. Damage amount 1. Damage amount defines how much the damage the block does. 1 I think is pretty good. Moving platform works well in side scrollers. Drag a moving platform onto the scene. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's do something like this. Get this moving over here. Cool. Zoom in. All right, let's test it out. In the last playtest, you should try to reach reach the finished flag. Place objects to create a path to the finished flag. Let's go. Playtest. Try and reach the flag. Okie dokie. Oh, okay, now wait for it, and oh, almost. I slipped, I'm not sure where. Gotta be patient, and okay, I seem to be falling through, I don't know why. And we made it. Well done. A few ideas for you. Turn the jump pad to boost sideways jump. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Change the shape of the moving platform. Ah, that's cool. Change how pre-mades look and behave, and playtest a lot. I cannot emphasize playtesting. Playtest, playtest, playtest. Playtest to make sure you're still having fun making the game. Playtest to make sure that the game is still working properly, because bugs come up all the time when making games. And playtest just for good measure. Have fun, do another tutorial more about an easy game logic. If you want to save your work, tap here, select save draft. Continue editing or leave the editor to explore HypeHype. Let's playtest this. Just want to see what was going on and why my dude was falling through. Oh, looks to be good now. Oh, it was because when he got damaged, he was blinking, which means he cannot land on objects. Yeah, that's great. What I did was play test to troubleshoot, see if I could figure out why it wasn't working before. And it was working, I just didn't understand the mechanics in the character. We can select the character, we can see player health, damage pushback, and it's probably built into here that when the player is blinking, they cannot stand on certain objects. If you like this kind of walkthrough, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more notifications as I make and play games in HypeHype. Until next time, I'm Hypesy. Stay safe out there, and peace.
In this tutorial, we'll take on creating environments with HypeHype. Start by going to the Create page and selecting any template you want. Some of the templates have interactive tutorials in them. You can recognize them with this icon. I'll select a scene with one of these tutorials, the nature scene. You can move, rotate, and zoom the editor view with different gestures. Drag with one finger to move, use two fingers to rotate, and pinch to zoom. If you get lost in the editor, you can tap Reset View to reset the camera. Now let's start adding stuff to the world. I want to make a spruce forest, so let's add some trees from the asset library. I'll search for spruce and set the filter for visuals. Once you've found the asset you want, tap the green plus icon to add it to your scene. Once the object is added, use the gizmo to move, rotate, and scale it. In addition to dragging from the tool, you can use the handles around the object to move, rotate, or scale the object on a single axis. Now let's change the other trees in the scene to fit our spruce forest. After selecting the tree, tap the visual preview to change it. Below the preview, you can find all the materials that the object is using. Switch between materials by tapping the material you want to change and selecting a new one. You can also edit all the colors in your scene and even change how objects reflect light. This forest could be darker. Let's open the main menu and select Visuals. Editing the green material will affect all things that have this green on them. Here you can change the shininess, shadow colors, and more. For now, it's enough if we tone down the diffuse and ambient colors. Now let's do the same for the tree trunk. This looks good. We should also change the background and ground colors. Open the main menu and select Background and Fog to modify them. Select any of the preset styles or edit one to better match your scene. Let's make all these colors a little bit darker. You can change the visibility in a scene with fog values. Changing these values defines the distance at which the fog starts and ends. The scene could use more stuff now. I'll create a small campsite. Let's search camp to find suitable assets. Add firewood and a rock ring to create a campfire. Let's light the fire up too. Grab a campfire effect from the Effects tab. Enable Scale with Object so that the effect can be scaled. Then move it to the right position and scale it down so it fits the rocks and wood. Let's also add some more camping related objects. A tent and bench around the campfire will help sell our cozy campsite scene. Finally, let's change the tent materials to better fit the scene. Next, let's add a grass tile set to the scene. Once the tile set is added, move it to the correct position and tap Paint to start painting it into your scene. Let's also paint some more hills using the existing tile maps. Finally, let's add some more trees to the background. Select a tree and duplicate it. Then rotate and scale it and move it to a new location. You can also do this to multiple objects. To select multiple objects, you can either hold down and tap objects using a second finger, or use the Area Select tool. The scene's almost done. It's time to move the camera and play a bit with the sunlight. If you now tap play, you can see that the camera view is different from what it was in the editor. That's because we didn't set the camera to match the editor view. To do that, tap Set Camera in the quick menu. You can also change the mood by adjusting the direction of light. Enable Logic from the quick menu to see all the logic nodes in the scene. Then select the sun node and rotate it to change the angle of the light. Let's also take a moment to clean up the scene a bit. Now our scene looks good, but it's really quiet. Let's add some ambient sound. We'll open the asset library and search for forest to find some good sounds. Listen to a preview of the sound, and once you find one that fits the scene, add it by tapping the plus icon. Now our scene is ready. Tap play to test the look and feel. While playtesting, you can also take a screenshot by tapping thumbnail in the menu on the right. You can also move the view by tapping camera. Taking a good thumbnail is important because it's going to be shown on your profile. Once you're happy with it, tap save to save your scene. Give it a name and description and set the correct categories. Finally, tap post to share it with the world. Subscribe for more HypeHype tutorials, tips, and tricks. Let's look at how you can create your own awesome game characters. With HypeHype, anyone can make games, avatars, and more on their phone. Let's start by going to the Create page and selecting the Custom Character template. This opens the template in the editor. The template includes a basic human character and a few assets to get you started, but you can customize it however you want. We'll start by replacing the hat with a new one. I'll select the hat and tap the preview of it in the Details panel to change it. This opens the asset library, which has an endless amount of assets to choose from. Let's search for hats. This cap looks nice. I'll use it. Now, let's move the cap into the right position. We can use the gizmo to move, rotate, and scale objects. Once the cap is in position, I'll glue it to the head. Gluing will attach the cap to the character so it moves with him and won't fall off. Finally, let's adjust the position a little more so it looks good. Next, we can attach this belt bag. I'll move it into position and glue it to the character. With a little practice, placing objects is easy. When gluing the characters, we can choose which body part we want the object to follow. Now, the belt bag will follow the character's body. Let's add something new from the asset library. We can scroll through the library to browse, or we can search for anything. How about we give him a phone? Let's glue it to the character. We'll put the phone in his right hand. Now, let's move it to the right place. Rotate a little so the hold looks natural. Perfect. Now that we've got a few assets, let's edit some colors. Select the object, then the color you want to change. You can select a new material from the list or create new ones. There are many options. Try out different options until you're happy with the look. We can also edit the background colors. Environment colors and other options can be edited from the main menu. For this, we'll select from the preset background styles. How about this green? Do you like it? Let's not leave our new character nameless. Press the text object and select the text to edit the name. Hello, James. James looks bored. Let's make him dance. Select the character and open the Advanced tab in the Details panel. Here you can change the animation. This template already has a few dance animations to choose from, but more are available in the asset library. Love these moves. James needs some music to dance to. We can also find music from the asset library. Tap the icon to listen to a preview. How about this one? I'll add it. Let's see James in action. You can test your hype from Playtest in the lower right. It's highly recommended to test your new creations before publishing to ensure everything is working. It's pretty great. What do you think? Finally, we'll tap Save to save our creation. Did you notice it took a screenshot? That'll be shown on your profile, and you can always change that later if you want. Now all that's left to do is add a title and description. Don't forget the hashtags. Now we can publish our custom character hype. It's immediately available for everyone. Share it with friends and family. Now it's your turn to make your own. What does your own custom game character look like? Use these 5 tips to create your awesome character. Get inspired from what others have created. Having a solid idea for a character makes it easier to start the creation process, but it's not always easy to come up with ideas. Swipe through the feed and explore the asset library to get inspiration. Once you've selected what kind of character you want to create, search for reference pictures. If you're making a police character, search for pictures of real police officers to get the details right. Give your character a backstory. Having a backstory will be a valuable guide when deciding how your character should look. Imagine what their life is like. What kind of environment do they live in? And what kind of personality traits do they have? A legendary warrior may wield a sword found in a forgotten dungeon, while a high school student may carry a backpack they got as a gift from their parents. Theme and colors. Once you have some ideas and a frame of reference for who your character is, you can start to develop a visual style for them. The theme should support the backstory of your character, and the colors you use should support the theme. Do you want your character to be cyberpunk themed? Try darker, muted colors mixed with neon. If you want positive vibes, give brighter, more saturated colors a try. Look for similar shapes. Sometimes finding a certain object can be difficult, but don't let that limit you. The HypeHype asset library has thousands of objects to choose from, so even if you can't find the exact object you want, there may be something you can use in its place. For example, you could use a shield as a police badge, motorboats as shoes, or a plant as hair. Silhouette. Think about the character's silhouette. Every popular character has a clear, recognizable silhouette, and its shape and size help communicate to players what kind of character they are. A silhouette with softer, rounded edges gives your character a friendlier look, while sharper, hard edges could make them feel more dangerous or evil. Glue simple shapes to your character to make it unique, and select animations or poses that fit your character. That was 5 tips for creating custom characters. Now it's your turn to make your own.
Here are the 72 games and animations I made in 2022.
I don't deny there's some strange evolutionary process going on, but mankind won't be destroyed. The fact that you and I are working here today is evidence of that.
What's up? I'm Hypesy. I play games, make games everywhere, and today we're going to be going through tutorials in HypeHype, checking out Make a Mini Hype Easy Editor tutorial. Welcome to the Hype Editor. When I'm making a game, I like to use these three fingers, zoom in, zoom out, and move around the world. In this tutorial, you'll learn about pre-mades. Pre-mades have built-in functionalities and they speed up making games. Start by adding a player from assets. Tap to open assets. On the bottom, we have our hamburger menu, assets, logic, and hierarchy. Let's go to assets. These are examples of pre-made players. All of these characters have the ability to move around the world, either stomp, fire, fight, or bash, all built into them, along with the ability to move the camera by scrolling above. I'm a fan of jump and stomp, so let's go with that. Do a search when you need something from the asset library. There's thousands of assets in HypeHype. Be sure to check them out. All different things from trees, animals, airplanes, sci-fi planes, you name it, it's in the asset library. If you search for a player, you'll find main character for your games. Let's give the player a nicer look. Tap here to choose a new look. I'm gonna go with the Dino Dude. Looking good, it's time to test the gameplay. Tip, return by tapping the back button. Now the back button is this button up here at the top left, over here, and that'll take you back to your editor, or in this case, our tutorial. We have the ability to move around so you can look at different angles, and we can take the little Dino Dude and jump around and look around this cool little desert. I'm gonna go ahead and jump on this tree. All objects have a collision shape around them. The collision shape defines the shape of the object. Here we can see it looks like the Dino Dude's standing in the air. That is just because the collision shape of this object extends into this air. It's always good to pay attention to the shapes of your objects. Alright, let's go back. The player you choose is a pre-made. It has built-in features. It can run when you drag while playing, moving the camera angle while moving the character as well. The ability to do two things at the same time is pretty cool. You can also jump fight depending on which player you chose. This character only jumps, but there are some that punch or shoot fireballs. You can play with these just by testing them in your tutorial or example hype. Select the player. I'm going to zoom in by pinching. You can change things like the player's speed and health points in the basic menu. Select the character on the tab on the top right. You'll be able to see player stomp, player health, drag and turn. Hit the down arrow to customize these settings, whether the player's speed, health, all these can be factored in and adjusted depending on the game that you are creating. Next, let's add some decoration to the scene. Let's go to assets. Here we can see a bunch of different little plants. Let's go ahead and add this one. I'm a fan of blue. This plant is an example of a model. It doesn't do anything but look nice. Press this drag icon to move the plant. The two fingers and thumb are what I use the most when editing on my phone. This is great because you can change your perspective, zoom in, zoom out, and let's go ahead and move this plant all the way over here. You can use the colored handles to move an object on one axis. You will need these moves: drag to move, pinch to zoom, and drag with two fingers to rotate. First, move, rotate, and zoom the view to see the plant better. Okay, so let's go like this and we can move it. If you want to see where on the XYZ axis is, you can just hit this icon below. The tutorial is kind of blocking the view, but it shows the position of the X, Y, and Z. Let's go ahead and put this over here. And I'm going to scale it down a little bit by hitting the scale down and maybe rotate it a little bit like that. And remember, you can move it on one axis at a time. I think that looks good. Let's continue. Make sure the plant is selected. Move the plant to a good spot. Turn the view to see it better. Okay, so this is just playing with the movement using your two fingers and thumb. And yeah, maybe let's just move it a little bit like this. Down so that it's coming out from the wall at an angle like so. Looking good. How about some things for the players to collect? Find a collectible gem in assets. Notice how collectible gem is highlighted green. If you go to assets and you type in collectible gem, this item will come up. Create a copy of the gem, duplicate, and move the copy a bit. Zoom out. Let's go ahead and move this guy. What's up? I'm Hypesy. I play games, make games everywhere, and today we're going to be going through tutorials in HypeHype, checking out Make a Mini Hype Easy Editor tutorial. Welcome to the Hype Editor. When I'm making a game, I like to use these three fingers, zoom in, zoom out, and move around the world. In this tutorial, you'll learn about pre-mades. Pre-mades have built-in functionalities and they speed up making games. Start by adding a player from assets. Tap to open assets. On the bottom we have our hamburger menu, assets, logic, and hierarchy. Let's go to assets. These are examples of pre-made players. All of these characters have the ability to move around the world, either stomp, fire, fight, or bash, all built into them, along with the ability to move the camera by scrolling above. I'm a fan of jump and stomp, so let's go with that. Do a search when you need something from the asset library. There's thousands of assets in HypeHype. Be sure to check them out. All different things from trees, animals, airplanes, sci-fi planes, you name it, it's in the asset library. If you search for a player, you'll find main character for your games. Let's give the player a nicer look. Tap here to choose a new look. I'm gonna go with the Dino Dude. Looking good, it's time to test the gameplay. Tip, return by tapping the back button. Now the back button is this button up here at the top left, over here, and that'll take you back to your editor, or in this case, our tutorial. We have the ability to move around so you can look at different angles, and we can take the little Dino Dude and jump around and look around this cool little desert. I'm gonna go ahead and jump on this tree. All objects have a collision shape around them. The collision shape defines the shape of the object. Here we can see it looks like the Dino Dude's standing in the air. That is just because the collision shape of this object extends into this air. It's always good to pay attention to the shapes of your objects. Let's go back. The player you choose is a pre-made. It has built-in features. It can run when you drag while playing, moving the camera angle while moving the character as well. The ability to do two things at the same time is pretty cool. It can also jump, fight, depending on which player you chose. This character only jumps, but there are some that punch or shoot fireballs. You can play with these just by testing them in your tutorial or example hype. Select the player. I'm going to zoom in by pinching. You can change things like the player speed and health points in the basic menu. Select the character on the tab on the top right. You'll be able to see player stomp, player health, drag and turn. Hit the down arrow to customize these settings, whether the player's speed, health, all these can be factored in and adjusted depending on the game that you are creating. Next, let's add some decoration to the scene. Let's go to assets. Here we can see a bunch of different little plants. Let's go ahead and add this one. I'm a fan of blue. This plant is an example of a model. It doesn't do anything but look nice. Press this drag icon to move the plant. The two fingers and thumb are what I use the most when editing on my phone. This is great because you can change your perspective, zoom in, zoom out, and let's go ahead and move this plant all the way over here. You can use the colored handles to move an object on one axis. You will need these moves: drag to move, pinch to zoom, and drag with two fingers to rotate. First, move, rotate, and zoom the view to see the plant better. Okay, so let's go like this and we can move it. If you want to see where on the XYZ axis is, you can just hit this icon below. The tutorial.
What is happening, Hypesters? We are back, and in just a moment, I'm going to throw you over to Hypesy, who is going to be talking to us about making games in exotic locations all around the world and all of the games that he made last year in 2022. After that, we are going to have a short break, and there's going to be a Finnish segment going on the other Finnish stream, and then we will be returning with another session with Snyviper, pro tips from Snyviper, and then finally we'll end the day with some editor Q&A and playtesting with yours truly. But without further ado, I'm going to send you over to Hypesy. And you're on.
What's up? I'm Hypesy. I play games, make games everywhere, and we are in 2023, year of the rabbit. But I saw one of Shogun's TikToks where he went through all the games, or some of the games he made in 2022, So I did the same and revisited all the games and animations that I made, and yeah, it blew my mind because I guess I don't keep track of, I don't know where I'm going or where I'm at or how many games and animations I've made. So I just like with HypeHype, I just make stuff. I just try to make it work, and then I don't know, do it again, and then again and again. So yeah, I went through all of the stuff that I made, and here, you know what? Let me share it also on the chat, in the YouTube chat, and yeah, so I don't even know where I was when I made some of these games, so it's kind of cool. But the beginning of the year was this one, Cyberpunk Street Fighter. I remember this was just made, and like this, I believe this was the original. No, this one was the original. And yeah, I went through. This was just like a gorilla going through and just beating everything up that is in its path. I'm a fan of Cyberpunk, and if this loads, we can see it. Let's see what's up with the internet speed test. Okay. Yeah, so this was the original. And this is cool. This is like a simple tapping game. I'm a big fan of hyper casual games. So, whether single tap, swiping, whatever it is, I thought this was great. And I just went in and, hit the remix button, and I just made it cyberpunk. And it's cool because a lot of times when I'm doing this, I'm trying not to break it. I have a hat very kind of similar like that somewhere over there. And there's a new feature that I really like within HypeHype 2 because I was able to look. Let's go back a little bit. You can actually check out the version history, which shows the dates and gives you all that extra information on the games that you make. So hit this. And again, this was released in November 2022. So the game was originally published in January, but still you can see that that's when it was published, January 4th. And then the next was this Hypnoid game, which I made, which was cool because this was like my first Hypnoid, Arkanoid, breakout type of game. And yeah, I have never made one of these before. And sometimes when you make something, you got to start somewhere. What's up, new boy? Welcome. And what's your secret sauce for making fun games? Great question, PT. Honestly, I think it's a two-step process. One, I just want to have fun when I make the game. Like that to me is the kind of the most important, because when you're making a game, even the game jam today, I was going through like all these different ideas of what do I want to do, and some ideas were too big or too small. I gotta have fun while I do it. Like, if I'm not having fun while I'm making the game, while I'm playtesting the game, then I'll just stop and try something else where I can, find that rhythm and flow where I enjoy the entire process. Because, yeah, making games, sometimes you will run into bugs, you will run into things that don't work too well. And so doing something that you enjoy gets you through that process. And then I would say the next step is to, watch how other people play the game, get their opinions on it, which I need to do more. because yeah, I was watching somebody play one of the games that I just released, and they had no idea how to. It's the one with the cubes. Basically, if you don't know how to play the game, it gets confusing. So watching other people play is a big step into improving the game. But so this was like my first breakout game. Learn the basic fundamentals of just how to put everything into place. And then when I came across some cool pixel art, I mean, I made a Goku breakout pixel game, and this, because I already had made one breakout game, it was just an easy next step. And this again was a lot of fun. So I made multiple ones. Oh, I think I was jumping all around. So I made like a Captain America. Wolverine to me is the coolest, but for some reason he doesn't. I believe Iron Man has the highest place. Let's find it. So yeah, like I made, I think, like 60 something games with animations, like 72 total, give or take. Some of them are like levels, some of them but it blows my mind, because when I would make games for the App Store and the Play Store, like best I could do was like make a single game in 3 to 6 months, which is fine, and I learned a lot in that process and was also enjoyable. But like this is on another level, to just make 8 different pixel art breakout games. And I want to credit the guy who made this, was Tebow. And we got loading. Oh man, my upload speed is 20 megabytes. That should be decent. Yeah, so yeah, Topo, this is his work. I found it online. And I do this basically with every game I make. I just do research on the Google. Recently, I've been using like Chat GPT to research, which is kind of cool and weird, and also use it for my videos just because it's a new technology. But when you find something you think is cool, to just be able to take that and make a game, and then people can play your game, it's just a lot of fun. And it's always interesting to see like what people like gets more plays, in terms of when it came to these pixel art. When it came to the pixel art, Iron Man gets a lot of play, which I suspect is because of Avengers. But for me, again, Wolverine is the cool one. Well, the coolest. So let's see, what other games did I make? And animations. Oh yeah, this I remember this flippy gun. I made this. I think I was on the beach somewhere in Mexico, and this is where I learned it's really hard to make games at the beach, because when you're at the beach, you kind of just want to be at the beach. So I don't make games at the beach anymore. But I have started this one. I want to say like I started this previously, but then sometimes when you're making a game, you get stuck, and then you just end up making another game. And I find that happens a lot within HypeHype. Like I'll be working on multiple different projects, and I'll start new ones. I will kind of almost finish some other ones. But the great thing is you can always go back to any of these games and just update them, make them better. even after you learn stuff. So that's kind of one of the coolest things that I've enjoyed in this process, and I'm trying to do it more where I go back to my older games along with making new games because yeah, it's just a cool process to see along the way. And so we got Cyberpunk Track 2, got about 17,000 plays, which is always cool. Let's see if I can't check this one out. So this one was a lot of fun because here you can add stuff that only you know about. I mean, you would have to explore this map and level, be able to find all this. And they say if you make a game, that you are automatically an expert. Oh, crap. And yeah, that's why it's always important to let other people play your game and see where they get stuck so that you can make improvements. And yeah, I made this last year for the Global Game Jam. And the cool thing with this is if you touch the screen. No, this was for the Goku one. I did it for this one. So I made this, just a cool planet, new assets coming out all the time. And there was this Earth asset. So I set it up, made this, and then I made this as well. And the cool thing is if you go Super Saiyan, all the characters are dancing and then they stop. Again, super fun to make, just adding particles. And this was probably one of my first experiments into having a node that turns objects visible versus invisible. So, and I use this all the time now in games that I'm making. So it's really cool to go back and just not only like see the progress of stuff that I've made from, basic simple animations to how I understand and can use these tools now very easily. Whereas in this one was probably one of the first times I experimented with it. So I kind of want to jump in a little bit. So here, this is where the button gets triggered, okay? And this causes a broadcaster. So there's broadcaster Super Saiyan and broadcaster normal. I think maybe there's like a toggle, okay? So here you see everything. I mean, we're in the logic on mode. You see everything. But if you select here on the headpiece, you can see that the headpiece is set to invisible. And I think this is one of the first ones where I did this in a hype. And, I got the cool clothes. I think the shoes are boots. The pants are like leg curtains. This is like a bandana. The muscles, this was a lot of fun to make, just playing around and doing something at the time I've never done before. I think I'm a sucker for trying to do things and see things and all of the above that I've never done, and then take a little bit and learn and make cool stuff. So a good example of a more recent game is this Trick or Treat game, where when you play it, you can see different costumes. This game was a fun platformer that I made, and I kind of just spent a lot of time making this game. I find, I try to look at like time as a construct, or I don't know, just spending a lot of time, because I always want to get so much done in a little bit of time, which is fair, and I think everybody does. But then there's, when you just spend a lot of time, forget what time it is, and just try to make something fun, you can make a whole world that a player can just walk all around. So here we can see this has the same concept that Goku going Super Saiyan had, which is these clothing options, which have the visible set to off, and then we have a switch node that gets randomized and either turns the clothes outfit on or off. So looking at all the games that I made in 2022, games and animations, it's just always a cool thing to just see how one, you pick up little things that help you in one game or animation, and then you'll use it later, and then you'll just use it all the time. Let's see. Okay, yeah, we got this Fall Dudes 2. That was a Fall Dudes 1. Okay, here we go. PT's asking, would you say that some of your hypes are inspired by real life events? Oh, yeah. So one thing, because I travel a lot, I'm lucky to experience different places, different cultures, different everything. And one of the things I always like to do is like go to museums. Again, it's basically just so I could see things I've never seen before, which is can be difficult because I've seen a lot. So, but then, certain experiences you only, you get when you get them. And a good example of real life events is this game Beach Run. And this was about this time last year, I think, maybe, or February or March. You know what? We can actually hit the version history. And yeah, okay, so like March 19th is when I made this game, and it looks like I made some updates back in October. So that's always cool. And I could probably remove the whip name in the game. It's got 70,000 plays, but this game 100% inspired. I have a video on YouTube. If you would like to check it out, check it out. I could probably make this game a little better, and I will go back and edit it. But because here you can see the players just dying, and we should do something so that doesn't happen. So yeah, so this is a little turtle named after, what was the turtle? Valentina. When there's a place in Puerto Escondido, Mexico, where you can go to like a turtle sanctuary and save baby turtles. And everybody gets a baby turtle. You're not supposed to touch the baby turtle because the human oils give off some kind of pheromone that will increase the chances of the turtle not living a long life. I don't know. These are just what the turtle scientists tell me. Well, they told everyone. But the thing is the turtle had to cross this journey into the ocean. And it wasn't even that big. It was, let's say maybe it was like 10, 15 feet, or what is that, like 7 meters, 8 meters? I don't know what a meter is, but like not that much. But the turtle had to, wiggle its way there. And as it would go, pelicans would literally just, well, not, was it pelicans or seagulls? Seagulls would literally just come up, grab a baby turtle, and then like fly away. And it was intense. It was like, yo, here's nature, and nature doesn't care that you're an adorable baby turtle. Oh, so when I made this game, if anything touches a turtle, if you touch the ball, if you can run into a surfer. Basically, if you just go straight, there'll be a seagull that will kill you or will take you out. Yeah. Hold on, let's get to the end. So I always try to take inspirations from all over the place. And I think it's just fun to see how many different games I've made. I think the biggest thing for me is I just never imagined to be able to make so many cool things, you know. And that's the one thing I thoroughly enjoy with HypeHype is just making something. If I don't like it halfway through, I can just like shelve it and look at it later. And it's just it's like you can find a way to keep the momentum going. Oh, here's another boat bumper game. This game I made inspired by real life being on Xochimilco in Mexico, near Mexico City. There's just so many boats. I had to make a game of it. I just had to. And this is the game. It's not, it's just a fun, silly little game. And yeah, we got some TikTok trends over here. Got the jiggle jiggle dance. This one, again, also very fun just to learn different ways of setting up intervals and, making a little animation of characters having a little dance. Just so many cool stuff. Probably the best choreograph ever. Thanks, Derp. Oh yeah, jiggle jiggle. And yeah. Got the Pokemon game. This was cool. Capybaras. Got to pet one of those. That was exciting. And yeah, people love capybaras. I never thought I'd see a capybara. And apparently they just hang out in the sun all day. Cool. So, where is and then the last couple of games from the World Cup, a lot of fun to make. I really enjoyed this one. The mechanic on this one I had in a game and then forgot about, and then I just used it later. So there's always a bunch of stuff when making games. And you don't even have to make games. You can make little animations in stores, and I'm gonna try to do some more of that this year. Year of the Rabbit. Maybe one with the rabbit. That might be cool. PT Jones, what about visuals? I noticed that many of your hypes have a unique ones, not to mention synth waves. So visuals, I just try to pay attention to the color palette. I really like I've been messing around with like a cartoon type of look. But there's so much you can do in the visuals of HypeHype. Not only the visuals, but the materials. So I like the cartoon effect. I just think it just looks cool. But I've seen other play games on HypeHype. Play games on HypeHype. If you see something you like, save it, go back to it, and check out the visuals. That's literally what I do. So if I see games that someone else who has more skills than me in terms of game mechanics, visual aesthetics, I will just look at that, save it, and then try to recreate it. And I think HypeHype changes the game on that, and it's gonna like redefine because it makes it not complicated to see how someone else has done something, and then you can try to recreate it in your own way. And yeah, the visuals again, I like the 2D or the cartoon effect, but there's just a bunch of cool stuff out there. So I would just say like play the games, and then you just learn a little by little. It gets a little bit better. Mess with the shadows, move the sun a little bit. Yeah, just make something. You never know how it's gonna look. Like this one, I didn't know any. I didn't know that this would look this like this look to me. This looks cool. Like how the Earth is moving on the inside, and you got the grid on the outside. I just kind of like figured that out. Like, what if I take a disco ball and put it there? What would that look like? And it came out like this. One way to find out. But yeah. 3 to 5 meters. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so I think one of the coolest ones that I really liked was, and I want to do it again, is where is it? Where is it? This one. Fall Boys Popsicle. I have been seeing a bunch of people make cool stuff. Remixing, I mean, What Dream what made the original, so shout out. Like, this game is great, and I'm still trying to figure out like multiplayer, and that's okay. But this game, so much fun to make, and I've mentioned it before. I created like a secret little jump back here. Like when you make the game, you can just add secret stuff. And these walls, like look how smooth that looks. When I was making this maze or this obstacle, I had no idea how to make it. I had none. So I just made one wall that you could not jump through. And then I made one wall that you could jump through. And I was like, okay, how do I randomize this? How do I switch it? So it's just it's like the concept, you just do piece by piece. But I think this is probably, top 3 of my favorite games, because one, it's a multiplayer, and I've seen other people like just remix this one. And yeah, again, color palette looks great. Okay. Need more popsicles. Oh yeah, that reminds me at the oh. And so one thing I very much enjoyed about this was when you get to the finish, and I wanted to differentiate this in terms of names. So I called it like Fall Boys Popsicle. And I was like, what could that mean? And so here you just get popsicles falling from the crown. Like these little fun things that I don't even know if anybody notices, but I think it's cool. I made another level called Donuts. So when you get to the finish, it'll be donuts. And if I make another one, I could just, add your own spin to it with a small little thing like popsicle. Super fun. Okay, let's see. Here we got Iron Man. Oh, yeah. So I think the Super Meat Boy one, this was a lot of fun, and these games are difficult. Like, but just making games that I wouldn't usually make, and I believe this one was also for Game Jam. Oh. Okay, I can see why this one's got the most plays, because it's kind of the easiest. So I should, me personally, I like making like hyper casual type of games, like games that are just simple and fun to play. And something like this ball bumper has that effect. Like it's not too difficult. You can play it quickly, you can play it slowly, but it's got the similar layout. And the physics on here look cool. And when I was making this game, I remember I had so many different objects. The frame rate was just like it would basically crash the app. And I found I do that all the time when making games in HypeHype. I'll just push the engine and the app to just like basically do more than it can handle to get a sense of what's going on. And so here, I mean, there is a lot. Like, not only is there a lot of objects in here, they're literally moving. Like, if you look in the background, because they're on kind of a wobbly object. So, like, just game wise in terms of just did I hit I must have hit a red. Just like how the physics looks and how it just moves. Like stuff like this just blows my mind. And so I like to make things that like push boundaries. Here we can see Brian, looks like your phone was lagging. I suspect that's because there's just way too much stuff going on here. And yeah, so that's like that's a good note for me. But when I originally made it, oh man, it was a hot mess. It was basically just like 100 times more tiny cubes. And then, you know, like what was it? I think I was like watching Shogun's live stream or anyway, someone was talking about how the dynamic objects, if they are loaded into a hype, I think it was you. Oh, I think it was Ryan asking the question, but like, if the object doesn't move, then the object doesn't have physics. It could have been. I don't remember who. It might have been Yop. Oh, like here you can see the object right there is sideways, but it should be moving. But because nothing is moving, that object stays still. It's basically just like a deeper understanding of how physics work within HypeHype. To me, that stuff is fascinating. These were really fun. I like to push the physics too. Yeah, pushing the physics is, I mean, I do this all the time when making games. You just go to one extreme and then back to a non-extreme, and then you just kind of find the equilibrium of what works well. And just even understanding how the physics works, like if I don't know if you can see, but there's the first cube right in front of the ball isn't tipping over, but if I touch it, now it moves over, and that's because of how the physics are all set up in HypeHype. And knowing how that works helps you make a better game. Stuff like this. See, this flying watermelon, I don't believe it took me 4 seconds to make this game. That can't be right. Flying watermelon took me less than 4 minutes. Okay, yeah, you know what? I actually think maybe it did take me 4 minutes. No, not 4. Maybe 4 hours. This data cannot be trusted. But this one, I think I just needed to take a break and make something super fun, super simple. I built a house out of bricks that you can blow up, and comments are filled with people with low-end phones complaining about the frame rate. Oh, yeah. That's the one where the house blows up and a meditating ping, golden ping lands on top of the house. I remember I was trying to analyze how that, yeah, that one's cool. Like that's pushing the boundaries of like what can be done will lead to slow gameplay in some scenarios. And I think that's okay. That's okay because like setting up and like having all the objects on a screen, you just got to see how it goes little by little. And then if it does, okay, this does a lot. And I think there's even a way to look at the frame rates in the game. I think like in the profile settings, but yeah, always good to keep that in mind. This game took me an hour to make, and I can't remember, but where was I? 7.6. It's funny. I look at these sometimes, and I'm just trying to think like where was I? 7.6. I don't know. But this mechanic, I had an idea. Again, I like hyper casual games, so I'm always trying to go like simple tapping stuff. And there's a lot of things I wanted to do, like have it so that the money spawns randomly, and basically in my mind it's like this big complete game of what I want. And I was like, okay, let me first build the mechanic. Single tap, and you tap once, it moves in one direction, and you tap and you let go and it goes in the other direction. Single tap, and I really enjoy this as a mechanic. But at the end, after making this, I didn't want to make it more. I didn't want to like perfect it, make it so that the money spawns randomly, and I can always go back and edit it. But honestly, I just wanted to see if I could make this mechanic happen. I made the mechanic happen, and that was it. And that's okay. But the things that I know now, if I wanted to, I could make it randomly be a different car, put it in different environments, using those visible and non-visible like toggling on and off that I started learning with Goku in that Goku hype. So yeah. Okay. What else? Oh yeah. So I have a video on YouTube, but one of the things I really enjoy about this one, Dodge and Jump, made in under an hour. And I was in Lisbon, Portugal. And one of the things is I'm always like walking around looking for a place to like make a game or sit down and work, and it's kind of frustrating because I will spend a lot of time. I think it's just because I want to explore the world, but I'll spend a lot of time looking for a place to work because it takes. I'm trying to find the right vibe. But this game, I found a coffee shop. I sat outside. I think they were like filming a movie down the street. And, I put my headphones on and I just like made this game based off of a game that someone else made many years ago. It's not, you wouldn't even be able to tell that it's like a similar type of concept. But it is. It's got a very similar kind of mechanic. And, so, just seeing this game now, trying to get a high score, it's just, oh crap. It's just fun to remember This was all done outside of a coffee shop with mediocre Wi-Fi connection. Yeah, I can't even remember if Lisbon has good Wi-Fi. I think I had I had a data plan. Yeah, it was like 2 weeks unlimited data for $20. Sounds good, but here in Manila for $10 you get 50 gigs. Every country's always different. But this was fun. You know, it's got the cyberpunk theme. Oh, whoop. And again, this game is actually kind of difficult, so always trying to get the high score. He's got to cut it really close, I guess. Ooh, 31 second. Now let's see some of the comments. Immersion was entirely shattered to pieces once I fell in the lava. That's hilarious. Very addicting. Number 2. Yeah, this game it's meant to be tough. Also, I updated Blink Cube. Oh, nice. And let's go. I wanted to check out that version history. So yeah. Oh, so this was in August of 28. Okay, I didn't even know that. I saw that in some of your past streams, you actually challenge yourself to make a game in under an hour. That's quite the challenge. Yeah, it's a couple of, I think I did that last. I've done that before for like videos. I know I think I did it last week on last week because it might have been this week. Yeah, because it's Saturday. So either last week or 2 weeks ago, in under an hour, and those are usually like the very simple kind of. I've already made one level like it, so when you've already made one, making another one is kind of easier as opposed to like starting from something brand new as a scratch. So like if I wanted to make another Fall Boys, I could probably do it in under an hour, but I don't think the quality would be there. What did I make? I think I made this Shark Island Parkour. And the cool thing of doing something like giving yourself a goal, even though in my opinion, oh wow, it's already got like 1,000 plays. That's kind of, hey, we can see when I made this because the history is on there. So so this was 5 days ago. Okay, so I made this 5 days ago and it's got 1,000 plays. That's pretty cool. And yeah, maybe that's because I did that on the live stream. But it's that whole concept of just like challenging yourself and knowing that in the end, after the 1 hour, like this game is simple because everything is already set up. You have the starting point, you have the game mechanics, you have the enemies, you have how the enemies work. So all the heavy lifting is kind of already done. And this is one of the coolest things about HypeHype is that when you hit the remix button, like you don't have to redo the whole timing mechanism, at least like for these specific games and how they're set up. So I could go in to any of these games that I've already made and try to make like a sequel. And I definitely do want to do that for the Fall Dudes. Maybe like switch up some of the characters because I always seem to use this duck. Well, the duck for two of them, and yeah, cool. But yeah, so a lot of great stuff. Can't seem to. Yeah, so thanks for hanging out with me. And I'll probably just keep playing some games. And check me out on YouTube and the TikToks. I'll continue to make and play games all over the place and challenge myself along the way. And oh man.
All right. Thanks a lot, Hypey. That was an awesome segment. Awesome to hear about your games and your travels. I'm very jealous of your world traveling. So we are going to cut the stream now for a moment, and we're actually going to be streaming on another stream in Finnish for about an hour, and then we'll be back at 4 p.m. with the Snyviper segment. Snyviper is going to be giving us some great tips and tricks for using in the editor. And then after that, I'll be here playing your games, giving you some editor help, and that will be the end of day 2 after that. So thanks a lot for joining us for the first half of day 2 of the Global Game Jam. If you want and you speak Finnish, you can continue watching us over on the Finnish stream. We're going to be having a panel discussion with some of our visiting streamers and YouTubers. So that should be a good time. And I'll see you guys soon. Peace.